Today we are going to be talking about some players that I'm scared of for this championship week, whether it be due to matchups, injuries at the quarterback position, injuries to the quarterback themselves, or just poor play from that player. Before we get into it, if you guys could, go down, listen to this board, leave a like on the video. I'm answering every single comment, so you guys have any start-sit questions going into this matchup. I would be more than happy to help you all out, even if you are in the loser's bracket and you're playing to not get the loser's bracket punishment, and subscribe to the channel, to that notification bell on so you don't miss another video. With that, guys, let's hop right into it with our first player. And this is a guy I own on my championship roster in my main league, so I'm honestly a pretty fair amount worried here. I'm talking about Justin Herbert. Herbert, realistically, has been very, very underwhelming this season. I mean, going from a season where he had 38 total passing touchdowns last year to now 21 passing touchdowns in nearly the same amount of games. And you figure he may have another passing touchdown or two in the next couple weeks, but nothing crazy. Because of that, Justin Herbert has faltered in the fantasy category, dropping 8 points and 5 points in the last 2 weeks, respectively, which I'm sure you guys, if you are Justin Herbert owners, are more than acutely aware of. And the thing is, it hasn't really looked good for him at all. Yes, the Chargers have clinched the playoffs as of last night versus the Colts, but Justin Herbert has not looked that good. Right now, he is behind Daniel Jones in scoring. He's behind Jared Goff in scoring. Geno Smith in total scoring. I mean, this is really, really bad for a player you probably took as a top 5 quarterback, no less, most likely, a top 2 quarterback. The only players who were really taken above Justin Herbert at the time were Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Maybe throw Lamar in there if you were high on Lamar, and Jalen Hurts if you were really feeling risky. Very few players were taking Justin Herbert below quarterback 3, and because of that, he's probably killed a lot of fantasy teams in the process. But if you somehow do have him right now, and you are in the championship, there are some streaming options that I personally feel more confident in playing. For one, I think if Jalen Hurts doesn't play, I think Minshew is a fine substitution for Justin Herbert. But also, if you would rather start Jared Goff, who's playing Chicago in a must-win game. Chicago is a team that scores a lot of points and has a bad defense. Same thing with the Lions, a great offense, but not so great of a defense. I mean, they do have a good run defense. But either way, Jared Goff is going to be in a shootout this game because he needs to be to hopefully make a playoff run. So I think you can trust Jared Goff. This is a guy who hasn't thrown a pick since week 9 of the NFL season. He's looked really good as of late, and I think he is a worth it start over someone like Justin Herbert. But other guys I'm thinking about, potentially Geno Smith, and a situation that I'm in right now in my main league, I am legitimately debating that if Jalen Hurts plays, because Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert are my 2 quarterbacks, I'm legitimately considering playing Brock Purdy over Justin Herbert, and I never, ever thought I would say that, but the offense of the 49ers is so good, and Justin Herbert's been so mid as a quarterback that I'm at least considering it, and I think if you're a Justin Herbert owner, maybe you should too. Moving on to our next player, though, I've got Jaylen Waddle, and Jaylen Waddle has been really, really good this fantasy season. I don't want to understate how good he's been. The wide receiver 6 in standard scoring as of now, and the wide receiver 8 in PPR scoring. That's very, very good production for a guy that's a wide receiver 2 in his offense, as Tyreek Hill is the number 2 wide receiver in both standard and PPR scoring, which is crazy how dominant this Dolphins offense has been. But going off of that, I'm a little scared of Jaylen Waddle, I am not going to lie. We've seen Tua come down with multiple concussions this year, and last week it looks like he was dinged up again. He is in concussion protocol as of now. I think because of the infamous week 4 concussion that Tua suffered, I would assume he's probably going to be missing this week. If you are a Tua owner, I'm sorry. If you are a Jaylen Waddle owner, I'm sorry. But with Teddy Bridgewater, Jaylen Waddle was not all that great. So while I think Jaylen Waddle is nearly a must start, considering he is a low end to mid wide receiver 1 for most offenses, I'm pretty nervous to start him myself just because the quarterback situation is not going to be that great. I don't have Tyreek on this list because Tyreek has been great no matter who's been throwing the football, but Jaylen Waddle's had some struggles, and I think it might lead him to suffer in this upcoming fantasy game. The next player I want to talk about is DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins has looked really, really good since he's come back from the steroid allegations. From week 7 to 12, when he was with Kyler Murray and playing at his peak, he was averaging a little under 17 fantasy points a game, 100 total points in that span in only 6 games, which is obviously very, very good, and you're very happy with that. But then Kyler Murray tears the ACL, out for the rest of the season, probably next season as well. DeAndre Hopkins looks like he's going to be faltering just a little bit. I mean, we've seen how he's been with Colt McCoy and Trace McSorley. It has not been pretty whatsoever. I mean, just last week, 10 targets, but only 1 reception for 4 yards. That's very unlike DeAndre Hopkins, but when you have a quarterback that's so bad, and DeAndre Hopkins' main game is predicated on these 50-50 balls, go up and get it type of receiver. Separation obviously is good as well, it's DeAndre Hopkins, but that's not the red receiver he is. Trace McSorley's not going to be able to fit it into those windows to be able to get DeAndre Hopkins the ball. That's why I'm a little bit scared of him. If you have DeAndre Hopkins, you're probably still starting him, but I would feel pretty worried about it. The only player I actually like in this offense is the player I like the least this season, which is pretty weird, Greg Dortch. He's getting manufactured touch on manufactured touch because he's so close to the line of scrimmage that Trace McSorley is not able to really air it down the field, and that's why he's going into Greg Dortch over and over again. I mean, in this last game, 10 targets, 9 receptions. It's pretty good. His yards per catch, not that great. But, I mean, I could also point to Marquise Brown and say the same thing. He really hasn't been all that great with Trace McSorley because it's Trace McSorley. Marquise Brown's that burner speed guy, and Trace McSorley does not have the arm to suffice. So generally, I'm pretty scared of these Cardinals pass catchers, aside from the worst one in Greg Dortch, which is pretty crazy to me. But anyways, let's move on to the next guy. And that is Amari Cooper. And Amari Cooper is a great wide receiver, yes. Is a very boomer bust wide receiver, yes. And in the beginning of the season, he was booming with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, so I am confident that next season Amari Cooper most likely will be very good with Deshaun Watson. But for this 1 week where Amari Cooper might just totally flop with Deshaun Watson, clearly Deshaun Watson is not in football form at this point, just because we've seen him have a couple of flop games. Yes, last week was a little different because he was playing in such harsh conditions. But at the same time, I mean, only 16 fantasy points from his best performance. I don't think it's been all that great for Deshaun Watson. And Amari Cooper has kind of suffered because of it. I mean, only 1 fantasy outing over 10 points since Deshaun Watson has started playing. And well, yes, that will change sometime. I don't think that's going to be changing this game. It's not a risk I would be willing to take unless you really need a high ceiling, low floor play. In your flex or something like that. I am very terrified of Amari Cooper. Yes, a fantastic player. Yes, a fantastic quarterback, but just not the right situation at the right time. That's why I'm scared to play all of these Browns receivers, whether that be Donovan Peoples-Jones, whether that be Amari Cooper, even Njoku I'm a little bit scared of. But anyways, let's move on. So the last player I want to talk about, a guy you're probably not starting, but I just want to warn you against it. Anyways, this is Courtland Sutton, a guy who has been one of the biggest fantasy disappointments this season. Mostly because of Russell Wilson being as terrible as he is. But nonetheless, Courtland Sutton has been downright bad since he started this year. And things have really not gotten better for him. He has been out weeks 14 and 15. Now week 16 he comes back. Actually looks decent. 7 targets, 5 receptions. But this game was blowout. They're playing from behind the whole time, which the Broncos probably will be doing for the rest of the season. But anyways, I'm just very scared to play Courtland Sutton. Unless you really need a spot start, I would now want to. I mean, some players I would probably want to play over him. Guys like Isaiah Hodgins, guys like Greg Dortch, heck, even Tyler Algier at flex. I would rather play one-on-one over Courtland Sutton, just because this offense has been so bad. I think Isaiah Hodgins is actually a decent flex play, but I'll probably talk about that in another video. But anyways, guys, that is going to be it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, again, go follow this sign, give this video a like. I'm answering every single comment, and subscribe to the channel. But with that, that's going to be it from me. As always, guys, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.